truth in advertisement, he invited me to partake in his transition committee, and it was one of the proudest honors I had. What comes to mind whenever I hear his name, Zoran Kwame Mandani.
Kwame Nkrumah.
The jingle of Fife Dog, the Great Lake Fife Dog, always comes to my mind. I'm going to paraphrase a little while. You've probably heard it before. But will you please be my mayor, Mr. Mandani? The theme for tonight is access, accountability, and action. The conversation is obviously going to be about the budget. You keep hearing that a lot come up. As was said, budgets reflect values. It's one thing to talk, but at the end of the day, show me what you believe, where you're going to put your money. The mayor knows as much as anyone that budgets reflect values. As a mayor, he's made it a point to bring about the themes of access, accountability, and action. He is committed to transparency. He's noted for that. The mayor also ran on a message of affordability to address our affordability crisis and bring what he describes as a new era of governance. My own take, which I believe is aligned with the mayor's, is that our ability to address the affordability crisis, and frankly, any economic crises, is tied to our public infrastructure. It's tied to our governance. I think right now, for the last 50 years or so, we've had a governance that has over-indexed on the values of profit and speculation at the expense of, and under-indexed on, investments in people. And in particular in this city, people in New York. It's created some unfairness. But it ain't just simply a matter of circumstances. These are choices. When properly resourced, New Yorkers are innovative. They are the productive agents. They make dynamic contributions that benefit themselves, their community, and our city overall. It's a belief and trust in people that with proper resources and investment, they generate healthy, tranquil communities and inclusive environments. This should not be radical. This should be the purpose of government. The realization, there it is. But we know that realizing this vision is going to require courage. Every administration is going to face pressure to reassure capital markets that has a great deal of power and ultimately try to maintain the status quo. But this election was not about caution. It was one with clarity, a clarity of commitment. New Yorkers chose a governing philosophy that recognizes people as the true infrastructure for a thriving city. A city that invests in the people of New York, our democratic institutions, our shared well-being, and our communities as both the point in the first place and the mechanism to achieve it. So with that, thank you, Mayor, for coming here. And as I kick off the first question, would you like to elaborate on anything, perhaps even what you mean by new era of government?
No, first, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be back. And it's a pleasure to be here, not just in the sense to have this conversation, but also as I was being introduced by Thomas Morena as the 112th mayor of our city. I was sworn in that position on the Quran that was owned by Arturo Schomburg himself. And so to be here back at the Schomburg Center, it is in many ways a fulfillment of so much of what we wanted those first days to be. To come back on the 103rd day of our administration, it really is a joy and a privilege. And I think to your question about a new era, it is a desire to deliver a politics that requires no translation into New Yorkers. I grew up in this city, and there are so many people that I love across this city for whom politics has just been something that they think they should stay as far away from as they can. It's something that will only bring them disappointment and disaffection. And so often when we talk about politics, it sounds like we have to jump through 10 hoops to understand what it is someone's talking about and how it will even affect you. And we want this to be a politics where people see their struggles in our policies and their lives changed by those outcomes. That's what we want this to be.
So you're up here with an academic who uses a lot of jargon, a lot of highfalutin language, and simplicity. simplicity, I'm gonna try to take that message. So the budget, budgets reflect values, and I guess I'm gonna lead off with some perhaps controversy. You've gotten a lot of critique about the proposal to include property taxes as a mechanism to generate more revenue, particularly from some of the few homeowners that we have left as we think about proportions that are black. But you also laid out other mechanisms. I'm just going to throw it out to you. Any context on that? And I'm going to stop talking, I promise. But here's the way I read it a little bit. The mayor led with a proposal to tax high-income individuals.
Right.
Yeah.
When we think about budgets, there is revenue collection, and there's also the point about values where you decide to distribute resources. The first big thing that he said was we need to tax the rich. They should pay more their fair share. But he also proposed that property tax. I think there was some political maneuvering in that. And I'm going to let you with the...
So I think I want to step first to the first day of our administration. And I want to go through the budget. And I appreciate, frankly, the question because it's an opportunity to speak directly about what is something of immense consequence in our city. We're talking about a $118 billion budget, right, in previous years. We're talking about a budget that impacts people's lives across the 5 boroughs. So when I came into office, we knew that things were going to be difficult. People had said that we were going to face some kind of fiscal challenges. What was not largely anticipated was that we would face the greatest fiscal deficit our city had seen in a generation. This is greater even than the Great Recession. We came in, we found we were looking at least $12 billion in a deficit. And it was $12 billion in spending that had already taken place. Spending that was unaccounted for. And we asked ourselves, now how will we move forward? Because we have a legal obligation, unlike the federal government, to balance the budget. Now, there are 3 moments in this budget process, if we're simplifying it. The preliminary budget, the executive budget, the adopted budget. The adopted budget is the final one. The executive budget is coming up in a few weeks. And the preliminary budget is what we put forward on February 17th. So on February 17th, I came forward and I had said that after about a month of being honest and direct with New Yorkers about this $12 billion crisis, we've been able to achieve a few things. One, we saw better than expected revenue from Wall Street bonuses. We allocated $1.7 billion in savings